Okay, neckband. So we've got to pick up some stitches to create the ribbing that's going to sort of just finish that neck off nicely. And I really like how Helen has done this because she's not done it in the round, she's done it in rows, which is helpful because a lot of people not so keen on working in the round. And I don't know why, but I feel like it makes the picking up of stitches a little bit easier. It's probably just me, I don't know. So let me show you sort of how it's going to be. This is the back of the work, and I'm folding it so the neck is here towards me and the piece is going away from me. And the front of the work is going to be the right way up with the neck at the top. And what we're actually going to do, sorry about all these ends, but we do need them. We're just going to join this little seam here. It's the right seam, the right side seam, right side shoulder seam. We're going to join that. Obviously yours is going to be a lot longer than that. We're going to join that there, and then we're going to pick up and knit stitches all the way around that sort of circle part to create the neck. Okay, I don't know if you saw any of that. All the way around here we're going to be picking up and knitting stitches to create the neck. But before that, we've got to join the shoulder seam, and I just wanted to show you a reasonably, I think this is mattress stitch. You'd think I'd have found out, wouldn't you? So mattress stitch we might traditionally associate with doing a side seam, but you can also do, you know, shoulder seams and things. It's just done in a slightly different way. It is going to be a little bit trickier because we've got a lot of interest going on this piece of work. We've got lace section, we've got sort of the moss stitch, the knit purl stitch kind of thing going on. But the thing to remember is when you put your needle through, you need to come around a stitch. Okay, so whether that's a knit or a purl stitch doesn't really matter. If I find one here on my tiny piece there, if I hold that up, you can see I've come around a stitch. So the stitch is sitting on the front, or sorry, the needle. Yeah, the stitch is sitting across the front of the needle. The needle is going behind it. Just that's all you need to remember really for this stitch. Let me show you what I mean. So my piece is horribly misshapen because I've made it up as I go along, and you can see quite clearly how terribly bad I am at designing anything knit-wise. But it kind of roughly sits together. Yours will sit together a lot neater, and you know, you will see it's meant to be together when you put your two seams like that together. So that's how we need to start out, facing up, right side's facing upwards. And you need to have a piece of yarn, a long enough piece of yarn, so maybe sort of twice the width or twice the length of the shoulder seam on your needle. Now I'm just using the piece that's still attached to my work, but you're likely to need an extra bit. So about twice the length should do it. If you're starting with a new piece of yarn, secure it into the back of the work so it is good and secure, and then bring it through right in the corner to the right of the first stitch. Okay, and what I'm then going to do is I'm going to find the corner of the first stitch on this piece of work as well. So I might have to bring it up to my face to see. Oh no, I don't. I can see it. And I am going to do exactly as I've just done with that stitch and showed you, and I'm going to put my needle behind the stitch. Okay, put my needle behind the stitch. And what we will do as we work is we'll kind of weave it so it is hidden in the stitches. The sewing is hidden in the stitches, and it will weave it together. So I've now come through the second piece of the work, so the other side of the work. And what I'm going to do is take my needle and go back in where the yarn was coming out. Back in there, and the needle needs to come out the other side of the next stitch. Okay, it's really hard to see on here. On your piece you will be able to look closely and work along those stitches nice and neatly, but I'm just going to go to the next stitch along on the other side now, so on the back piece, and go around the stitch so that the stitch is sitting across the top, sorry, behind the stitch, so it's sitting across the top of the needle, and bring the yarn through. Okay, I'm trying not to pull that too tight until the end. Go back in where the yarn has come out and come through under the next stitch. Okay, so the trick is, as you sew, your needle always goes back in. I have to pull that out so I can tell. It always goes back in where your yarn has come out. So my yarn is coming out here, my needle's going back in, and I'm going to come round the next stitch. So as long as your needle is going in where the yarn came out and kind of around the next stitch, and you know, a little bit of poetic license if you've got a slanted stitch because of casting off and your stitch all of a sudden comes to an end, you'll see where it needs to go. But as long as you follow the rule of the needle coming in where it's just going in where the yarn has come out, you'll get yourself a nice sort of reasonably neat, almost invisible join. If you hate this idea, go ahead and however you feel happy sewing, sew it. But I would suggest that once you get going, as long as your needle is going in where your yarn has come out, you get a good, close, practically invisible join. So I'm just going to work along. Can you see? The answer is no, you can't really, because it's a pretty good seam, isn't it? Yours will be even better because yours will actually match up properly, because your all of the maths and the numbers of your decreases will have been done correctly and not just some person cobbling it together on a small sample. So yours is going to look absolutely pucker, as dear Jamie Oliver might say. So finish off that seam, and you've only got to do just the one before we continue. Quite astonished that mine even sort of remotely fits. Don't forget, just keep going in, take your needle back in where the yarn has come out, and I'll show you what happens on the inside in a minute. And I'm on the very last bit. Let me show you on the other side. Look at that. See, I think it's still very pretty. So you will, if you do mattress stitch along a side seam, I can't say it, you still get this raised ridge on the inside of your work, which is absolutely fine, because on the outside of the work it is flat and almost invisible, which is a really nice way to join. So I'm just going to sew the end of my yarn in. This is the method I'm going to use for sewing up all the seams on here. And my big tip, and I know I keep repeating it, but my big tip is make sure that your needle goes in where the yarn has come out, and that is, I think, the key to a very nice, neat seam. Right, so what we've got now is a situation where we're sort of half joined together, and we've got this circle, this sort of open circle neck area, and that is where we're going to start picking up and knitting.